Okay, clap for sound in 3, 2, meow. That's action.
Okay, good morning.
Check 1, 2.
Oh, sorry, check 1, 3, 2.
Music was my first love, and you will be my last. The Phantom of the Opera is here in my studio. Hello and welcome to Check 1, 2. What an intro. I'm very, very excited about this interview because sat with me is this guy. And I've been really lucky to interview some really amazing people, but this is my first real friend. That's right, I know him, and I'm very excited to introduce you to him. I've got a lot to say, and hopefully he does too, otherwise it'll be a rubbish interview, so make sure you talk. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the legendary, the hero, my friend and yours, the one and only, Mr. Earl Carpenter. Woohoo! Hey Earl.
Hello.
How's
Matthew.
that for an intro?
It was interesting. Thank you.
Do I have a place in the West End?
No.
What do you mean? Come off
Sorry.
it. Is that not?
That was too quick. That came out very, very quickly.
Fine.
Hello,
Thanks.
Matt.
Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Before we get started and go serious, how was your meal last night?
It was very nice. Thank you very much. Yes, I was shown the delights that was Exmouth.
Yes.
And a very nice restaurant on the seafront.
Some would say it was quite romantic.
No.
It's great to have you here. I really appreciate you coming. So look, I want to start. Let's begin with your childhood. No, I want to start by saying I was absolutely aware of you before I met you, and the first time we met was in Panto. But your career, especially amongst us theatre goers, people that worked in Panto, everybody knew who you were before you arrived, and we were all very excited about it because you were one of the original Phantoms in the Phantom of the Opera.
No.
Great.
Not one of the originals.
You're not one of the originals?
No, not one of the originals.
Oh, okay. So.
But I'm certainly, I'm one of the longest running.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, yeah, which is an odd accolade to have.
Yeah, right.
But it's really weird, actually, even you saying what you've just said about turning up into an environment where people already know you, which is odd.
Why is it odd?
Because it's difficult. Because it kind of takes out the normality of conversation or socially getting to know someone.
Yeah.
You have a preconceived idea of this person that you've seen, whether it be on Instagram or in shows that you love or whatever. You know all about that person, and it kind of takes away the necessity or the need to kind of just have normal conversation, and it takes a while to get over that, and actually you saying that made me go a bit, oh, it's horrible. It's horrid. It's so weird because I've never I've been very, very fortunate to have played some incredible roles in musical theatre around the world, but I just see that as a jobbing actor. And it's a really bizarre, particularly over the chapter we've been through.
Yeah.
You know, and knowing that our industry has been basically brought to its knees, and it's in such fragile state even now. It has made me look back at all the opportunities and gone, gosh, I wish I'd handled that differently. It's been such a mental knee jerk.
Wow.
To everything that's been going on.
Yeah.
Gosh, all of a sudden I've gone really deep. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. I like it. No, let's go straight in. No, you're 100% right, man. I feel exactly the same. It's been such a shame to see the world of entertainment kind of crumble, and I kind of say it like this to people: when people stopped caring, almost about entertainment, especially when it comes to the government. You know, they told us to retrain and that we should find different jobs. And without sounding too stupid, I'm sorry, but we're more important than that. For a start, we're your day off, right? Every time these people would go home and put Netflix on the TV, that's entertainment. You know, the fact that they kind of snubbed us really hurt. Entertainment's always the first to go and the last to come back.
to be labelled that anybody within the creative arts is not viable, or the fact that a body of individuals that we are supposed to trust, for them to kind of turn around because they don't understand our world. I think that is the truth. I think there are some extraordinary individuals that believe that they know what it is the creative arts industry provides, but I don't think they do.
No.
I do believe that there's a lot of individuals who even represent our world that if you were to sit them in the room and ask them to explain what it is we do, I honestly think they would struggle.
Yeah. They think we're almost clowns. Like we're just this product and we just do our thing,
but
and it's almost
but
easy.
But on the flip side of that, and trying to be positive as well, there are a lot of our incredible audiences that come and support us. They don't know what we do either.
No.
So you understand that there is a lack of information. You understand that there's a lack of awareness of how this world is put together. It's magical.
Oh,
and it was something that we were discussing last night, that we do forget what it is we do and what it is that kind of little box of live entertainment actually gives people. We forget that, but we also we can't expect people to understand how that happens. They just see the product,
of course,
and that's where I think it's difficult. But when you have people who are supposed to represent our world that don't really know, we
it seems like they don't care because they don't understand.
Well, the problem is when you look at the stats. So in the UK, the theatre industry is only vying for 7% of the population. That is who comes and supports theatre.
Wow.
Only 7%. So when you look that in, I suppose, GDP terms, when finance accounts for 50% of the GDP, and then theatre's only 7%, even though we generate as much as football in terms of income.
Yeah, VAT alone, I think you told me this statistic actually, that the entertainment industry in the UK brings in...
Well, something like 1.8 billion to the Treasury, which is an extraordinary... But it is still a very small amount of money. So, and it's weird. And I think in times of crisis, which is what we have been over the last 2 years, you just look to, I suppose, whatever you can claw back. But in times of crisis, particularly, it's evident within, there's a lot of information about, musicals or variety that happened in and amongst the Second World War.
Yeah.
And everybody went to theatre in times of crisis.
Yeah.
But for the first time ever, theatre hasn't been there because it hasn't been allowed.
Yeah.
So people have turned to digital media, online or that type of thing, which I think
is a dangerous place.
It is a dangerous place, and and of course, I love a Netflix. I love an Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Other streaming services are available,
although I don't watch them.
I don't know how copyright works with this kind of thing, so I thought I'd just put that out there in case I get done. But yeah.
But I think I think we've forgotten what it is like to sit in a theatre.
Yeah.
And having this year to do the Les Mis concert at the Sondheim in London.
Has it been what the audience has been like? Do you feel a difference with the audience now? Because now finally theatres are starting to open and they're starting to get busier. There's no longer this bubble arrangement. Do you feel like we're back out? Is there a difference?
It's odd and it is alien because a lot of the audiences, I think, because we don't have tourism, and obviously particularly with the West End, a huge percentage of theatre audiences is made up of tourists.
Right.
And so at the moment, we've got a lot of people, I think, who've never experienced theatre from the UK population, which is great. But in that respect, you've also got a lot of people that are sat there, and we can This is the wonderful thing about audiences, the fact that they think we can't see them, but we can. Particularly when they're in a dark room and they go to their phone.
Yeah.
They light up, and it's like, oh, there we can see you.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's been interesting because I think there's been a lot of people that have come to theatre who've never been to theatre, and you can see them kind of going, oh, what is this thing I'm watching? But you kind of think, that's okay. It's brilliant that they're there.
Yes.
And we know that because of the way these things are engineered, we know that they will leave there going, wow, that was brilliant. They probably may not go and see the musical again, but the fact that they've had that experience.
It really, honestly, one of the reasons I do this job is just to give people a bit of respite from their own lives, almost.
So that's what it
because
is.
that's what I need. Yeah. Just to forget about that rubbish day or your rubbish week and just be transported into this amazing world. And I want to touch very quickly on something you said a minute ago about how a lot of people don't really understand how much work goes into what we do. And that's something I really want to touch on because I'm still learning this myself. I know I'm only recently turned myself to acting. And when I shot Pantal, available on Amazon Prime, shameless plug.
Shameless.
Well
done.
Disgusting.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Earl.
It is brilliant.
I didn't realise...
It's brilliant.
No, don't.
I didn't say Matt once, but it's brilliant.
It's really, the others are great.
Yeah,
very good. I have a lot of lines in that show, don't I?
You do have
so much dialogue.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, you've really found a voice there.
Thank you.
But I am going to say it is amazing.
Thank you.
Seeing, the journey that you've made as well yourself, to then be brave enough to take a dive into that world. Where it is.
It was tough.
It is tough. It's incredibly tough.
One thing that really shocked me and that I will never get over is in a 12-hour day, and we shot for 90 days, and some of those days were 12 hours. We were up at 4 a.m, travelling to set, and we didn't finish till late in the evening. And within a 12-hour day, you'll shoot a maximum of 3 to 4 minutes of a TV show in 12 hours. That's something that I couldn't believe. And when I spoke to some of these guys, the directors, they said, well, on a movie, like if you look at something like The Avengers, it's less. You'll do 2 minutes. And if you push it to 3 minutes in a day, you're really pushing it. And what I think most people see is, and don't get me wrong, I love this job. I really love it. The opportunity to jump into being a different character is a beautiful, liberating feeling. But the research you have to put into that character spans 6-12 months before you even start shooting. And then when you're on set, your family wants to come and visit you, and you're never really truly there because you're thinking about this scene all day. And it is a mentally challenging job as well as physical. I don't think people realise how difficult it is, whether it is stage and theatre, the amount of rehearsals you have to do. I mean, how long were you rehearsing for something like Phantom? What was that like?
It was only... originally, it was. I think it was a 4-week period. Well, it's only like 20 days in total.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not a great deal. And if it's, I mean, there's, I think when I went back to it at one point, it was only 2 weeks. You kind of get on with it. But it's interesting because there is such there's a massive difference between TV and.
Oh. They're two different languages completely.
They are, but it's interesting because you're saying about the amount of research, the amount of... Because I think, when you've got a camera in your face, that there has to be... your ability to be able to do something that is scrutinised by the lens, you have to get that right. It's not something you can blag, which is something that I do.
You're a blagger.
I am a blagger.
You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Earl Carpenter, the blagger. No,
it's something that I've learned over the years. The fact that it's not just what I do. It's the synergy between everybody else who makes that picture.
Yeah.
In that moment of storytelling work. So it'll be the composer, it'll be the lyricist, it'll be the designer, it'll be the lighting designer, the sound operator, the props, the costumes.
Yeah.
Listen to the audio track of a film. Say my favourite soundtrack is the one to Braveheart.
Oh wow. Okay.
But take the music out. Is it a good film? I don't know. But put the music back in.
Interesting.
It is incredible, and I think that's the same way as musical works. So as a performer, it's not about what I do. I had the opportunity of working with the incredible Hal Prince, who passed away about 2 years ago now. He was the original director of Phantom of the Opera and a multitude of other amazing musicals over the years. But he came to London to kind of see us through a really little rehearsal period. And having seen the show the night before, he sat with me and the rest of the company, and he basically kind of chastised me in front of everybody. And at the moment in time, it was horrific. It felt like my little world was turned upside down.
Oh no!
But we sat there, and he said, one thing you have to remember is that everyone refers to you as the Phantom of the Opera. You are dressed as the Phantom of the Opera. The show is called The Phantom of the Opera. Stop being the Phantom of the Opera. Stop competing with the pictures that I've created. And all of a sudden, I went as an actor from thinking out to the audience, what I'm doing, to then going out and then looking in and seeing what's going on behind me. So that picture within the proscenium, what the audience is looking at, everybody, the lighting designer, what the orchestra is doing, the arrangements, the choice of music, the choice of instruments to create kind of the audio storytelling, all of a sudden I became fully aware of all that armoury.
Wow.
Of everything. I'm going, don't compete. Well, no, why? Yeah, right. So I had to learn, so I had to undo everything that I thought I knew, i.e. acting, to actually going, no, actually, I just need to stand here.
Wow.
And just work with everything and understand why there's a shaft of light there, why, it's also, we could start talking about semiology, which is the constructs of the amount of communication that we know as a human already. The fact that we know the colour red means danger.
Yes, stop.
There are all these things that we are already aware of. So there's already an element of knowledge and understanding as to what is going on when you watch something. So it's about not confusing it. It's about trying to sit in the middle of it and just be truthful to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
But I also have a distance. I have that distance between me and the first row of the auditorium.
Yeah.
Whereas you have a camera that's like, right there.
Yeah.
But it is amazing.
Wow.
It is quite
I think the
extraordinary.
world of theatre is such a beautiful place. It
can
feels
be.
like a movie in real life.
But it can be, and it is for the audience, which is who's it for, which is what it's not for us. We've got to remember that sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
And it is an amazing piece of escapism.
Yeah.
From what is particularly at the moment just a horrific chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a scary thing, but I want to kind of go back a little bit because I love your huge wealth of knowledge. And when I first met you, you were the first professional kind of actor that I'd met that was really willing to help me and share some really amazing moments, and not just about how to conduct yourself on stage, but how to conduct yourself off stage and how to handle moments when you get stressed. And you, there was a couple of moments that where you absolutely saved me. And so I want to go back. I actually also want to say red doesn't just mean stop; it can also mean strawberry. But I want to go back to the start. How did you get into entertainment? Like, were your family entertainers? Was your no?
Not at all. The journey for me was an odd one. At school, I struggled big time. I was not a very intelligent or bright child. I found learning a challenge. I had an interest in flying. As a kid, I was moved around a lot. We used to live in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
And
really?
so we spent a lot of time in aeroplanes, which I absolutely adored. It was
No
incredible
way.
escapism. And as school went on, and my family, my dad was ex-Navy, my mum's side, Army, my dad's other side again, he was pilot, RAF, that type of thing. So there was not that it was ever mentioned, but there was certainly that pressure of maybe going into the services. So early part of my schooling, I chose ATC, so training course. So I decided that RAF would be a good thing for me.
Wow.
That was what I wanted to do because I enjoyed flying. Unfortunately, my schooling was terrible and I failed every single exam.
Oh, did you?
Literally,
no.
every single exam I took, with the exception of art and drama. And my drama teacher at school encouraged me, because she knew I was struggling. I was also ginger and called Earl, so I really had things really going against me. But I found this world, this non-judgmental world that was theatre, that was the drama class. You could be who you wanted to be, and no one would bat an eyelid. It was why everyone was there. And that grew, and my confidence grew from that. So, and she very kindly spoke to a small college down in Poole, Jellicoe Theatre, which was part of the Bournemouth and Poole College, about ignoring the fact that I didn't have the entry qualifications and whether they'd just take me on my abilities. And they were very kindly auditioned me, and I managed to. I got in.
Wow.
But that kind of growth of confidence, really, I became very aware of it. So I wanted to do more. So I then just reached out to every single amateur dramatic society in the locale and just got involved. Bit of an Amdram whore,
right?
I think you could have called me that.
So you were doing like plays and things like that?
Well,
so you weren't singing at this point?
At college, we weren't allowed to even utter the word musicals.
Really? Why is that?
We had two former Royal Shakespeare Company actors
darling.
who was our teacher.
Oh,
so we did all the proper stuff. I trained as an actor, and I will always refer to myself as an actor, not as a singer. And
really,
yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not a great singer. Technically, I'm not. No, technically, compared to the incredible musicianship of some people that I work with, who can read music, who perfect pitch, and they have done a lot of training. I have not. I have blagged. I'm a blagger.
I hear you.
But I listen. And that's the thing about it. I do listen.
I hear you. But there's this saying about, if you want to become, for example, a photographer, it's not about the equipment that you use. You don't need a really expensive camera. You just need the eye for it. Yeah. You don't need to be trained in singing to have raw talent and to have a good voice. And I think that's you all over. You have a raw talent. You say you don't call yourself a singer, but some of these roles you've had, Earl, are singing dependent.
They are.
You're bloody good.
But are they? Well, yes. I mean, it helps to be able to sing.
Yeah.
But I think it's you've got to have a foundation, and if you don't understand what you're doing, if you don't understand the story, if you don't know how to communicate the story through singing, then it can't just be about singing.
Yeah.
Which I think is where a lot of things have gone. It becomes more important about, can that person hit that note?
Yeah.
When we're all guilty for kind of going, oh yeah, she can, or he can, or whatever, And actually, I'd rather hear someone who you're a bit on tender hooks with the singing, but the storytelling and the passion that comes from the storytelling is so much more important, I think.
I do agree with you there.
The acting side has always been more interesting to me as well.
Yeah.
I've just decided that I really wanted a career rather than go into the world of plays.
Yeah.
And musicals have afforded me some extraordinary opportunities.
So what was your first? What would you class as your first proud proper job?
Well, they've all been proper. Even from the very first show that I did, which was a rock musical called Robin of Sherwood. It was a Bill Kenwright production.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like the Robin Hood version of Joseph.
Brilliant.
It was great. We had 5 days of rehearsals to get this on.
Wow.
I'd never heard of it before, so it was like, proper apprenticeship.
How old? I know it's very rude to ask, but how old were you then?
I was 23.
23. Wow.
23. Yeah, that was my first professional job. And it was incredible. And I did a couple of shows for Bill Kenwright. And again, I classed that as my apprenticeship, along with all the Amdram stuff. Again, that's apprenticeship too.
Yes.
And not to be confused, just because it's Amdram doesn't mean that you're not learning stuff.
No, of course.
I learned everything from that. I learned everything from setting up my own little theatre company in Bournemouth and just going that and just trying to get as much experience as possible. Right now, there's a big, I'm not a great advocate of theatre schools, unfortunately. I'm the wrong person to talk to about that.
Really?
Yeah, well, because there is something, you see a lot of people that come in from schools and just have a very skewered perspective of the industry and the idea of once they've walked into a West End show, because that seems to be the rite of passage now, from drama school straight into a West End show, the apprenticeship is gone. There's no understanding. Actually, no one has to earn the right to actually get there. But it's also about longevity.
Yeah, of course.
How do you create longevity? How do you achieve it? Sorry, and particularly right now, with what we've just been through, and I feel so sorry, and that's not meant in a patronising way.
No.
For those who have put in their 2 or 3 years at drama school and have now come into this world of it's not there.
So what would you say then to, because I know a lot of these musicals, now they employ a lot of celebrities.
But they've always done that though. There's always been a world where celebrities has been involved with our world. Pantomime, for example, that was very celebrity heavy in the early days.
Yeah.
There's always been a space for it.
Yeah.
There's always been that. Why do they employ a celebrity? But you've also got to look at it from the producer's point of view, and having producing experience. You understand that there are always and will always be certain things where you just need a little bit more help of getting
bums on
word
seats.
out. Absolutely. And it's not crude. As long as the person who's doing it can do it,
Yes.
that's where it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And there's some, and again, a lot of celebrities actually do have a foundation in theatre or musical theatre. It's not as though some are completely, fresh to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a crude thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a place for it.
Yeah.
So I think from that point of view, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
And it is quite fun, especially when you do meet someone who's been on, Britain's Got Talent. Because it is weird when you see someone go, I've seen him on the telly, I still get that. When you see someone who you've kind of experienced on the television, you see them in the flesh.
It's strange, isn't it? We're in this
It's
industry
so
and
weird.
I still meet people and go, oh my God, it's you.
Yeah, I know. I do too.
And they're so normal.
I had a really wonderful opportunity of being involved with the Christmas Carol, Guy Pearce.
Yes.
Who used to be in Neighbours, I think, once upon a time. He does loads and loads of films. Is it Guy Pearce? Am I thinking the right one?
I think so,
yes. And a friend of mine who used to play piano at Amdram's once upon a time is now this extraordinary executive producer. And he allowed me to come and sit in one of the recording sessions.
Wow.
Where Guy was doing his thing, and it was just like, oh my God, it's extraordinary. And then I was in the makeup chair, and I'm looking across to this other guy, and he's like, he's really famous. And it's just like, oh my God, it's weird.
It is weird,
but they're
isn't
just
it?
normal people as well. It's just,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's Anyway.
It's amazing though. No, it's great that we're lucky enough to meet these people, and for me, they're peers, and you can learn a lot from these people, and they're happy to give you their time, as were you to me, and I shall always be thankful for you.
Well, but it's also that thing about, it's tough. It's a struggle, and again, this chapter throughout COVID.
Where do you think it's going, Earl? And I don't mean the pandemic or that kind of stuff. I mean our industry. What do you think happens next? Are people too scared to go out to the theatre? Is it getting busier?
No, I don't think they are too scared, because it was evident that people wanted to come and sit with the Les Mis concert.
Yeah.
The size of audience grew and grew and grew. There are some musicals on the road at the moment that are selling out. I think the problem is that the messaging from certain government is just not helpful. There still seems to be an air of uncertainty. So people are like, well, I don't know if I should book this because it might get cancelled.
Yes.
And that's the issue right now.
Right.
There's a lot of producers that cannot take the risk of, potentially us going into a different type of restriction over the winter period, because again, unfortunately, the chatter, makes you think, oh, maybe that might happen, and you just want to go, oh.
Yeah.
So the more that happens, the more people that will leave things to the last minute. But unfortunately, that doesn't help us, because without that kind of pre-ticket sale thing, then the producer doesn't have the confidence to be able to do something.
Yeah.
So, or the theatre doesn't have the confidence to open. So unfortunately, a lot of companies then have to make the difficult decision of going, well, we're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
But of course, the minute they do that, that's 100, 150, 200 people that is affected straight away.
Yeah.
And work isn't, and it's, but I think, gosh, what do I know? But I think by the summer of next year, I think we will see a world of normality again.
Do you think it will change because of this new internet movement? And by that I mean TV shows are becoming more and more prominent online. There's so many people making their own shows on YouTube and comedy shows.
No, I don't think so. I think people still, the power of live entertainment.
I agree with you, absolutely. You can't beat it.
No. I think the only problem will be is the cost.
Yes.
I think if the cost of theatre, but again, that's, it's not just one decision, let's make it at that price. There is a world of supply chain for our industry that makes the ticket expensive. Shows are expensive to put on. But I'd still think, as long as that bit is right, as long as, it's sensible pricing, not dynamic, as a lot of companies do tend to do sometimes, then I think people will come to, because the experience of a live entity is so powerful.
It's magical, isn't it?
Incredible.
There's nothing else like it.
Not at all.
Music has this ability to touch your heart in such an amazing way.
But it's also, we need it.
Oh yeah,
as
absolutely.
Performers. We're sat in this booth.
Oh, we're desperate for it.
But that's why we do it, because it's an element of affirmation.
Yes.
And we are egos. We're driven by ego.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't do what we do. It's not a rude word. It's and we need a bit of adulation to at least go.
Yeah.
And you don't get that from this world, You don't get that.
No.
Other than Dave sat over there, who might laugh at a few bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But when you're on
him.
stage with 1,000 people reacting, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And the audience know it's incredible as
Yeah.
well, because there is a sense of kind of belonging in that world where you've got 500, 600, 700,000 people reacting to things on stage, and it's incredible. And I don't think, anybody who, I think, sit them in the room, give them two options: watching a TV at home on the sofa, or actually being taken on a emotional journey.
Yeah.
That is, which far outweighs, I think, the digital forum.
Of course it does.
I don't think I think there's a place for it.
Yeah.
For both. There are always, it will never replace live.
There's a song, isn't there? There's a place for us. Do you know that song?
I do, from West Side Story.
Yeah.
Well
Do
done.
you want to give us a line?
No.
Okay. Sorry. I'm going to keep trying during this interview to make you sing
I'm not
one
gonna
line.
sing.
Okay.
Okay, carry
What's
on.
your favourite show in the West End, would you say? If you were to recommend one show for somebody to see, because I always ask people this question, because don't hate me, I've never seen Les Mis.
Sorry? There's loads of people who haven't.
Never seen it. And I've seen a lot of musicals, but if you were to say, I have a lot of friends that aren't interested in going to see musicals. It's
No.
not their thing because they have a preconception of what it's going to be and they're not interested.
Which
I
is
think
what?
they'd be surprised. I think most people's preconception is that it's just, they're not going to enjoy the music.
Right.
That it's too classical, I think, for most people. And I always say, well, I mean, come
Well,
on.
then-
If
but
you look
then-
at something like the Jersey Boys, and that's definitely
I know,
not classical.
exactly.
And that's a West End show.
Or We Will Rock You.
Or We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
But I have a few friends who I find it difficult to encourage to go to see a West End musical. What's your answer to that? How do you get people to go and see it who have never been?
Well, I suppose it's exactly the same as, when you go to a restaurant and you keep choosing the same thing on the menu.
Yeah.
It's that. At what point do you decide, I'm fed up with that, I'll try something a little different?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I mean, yeah, you might not like it, but it's certainly worth to kind of go along and kind of go, actually. Or at least do your homework then.
Yeah.
Maybe, find some music you like and see if there's a musical that's based around that music. Because there's a lot of jukebox musicals around.
Yeah, there is at the moment, isn't there?
But there's also, there's some great stories. It's... And some of these shows, the effects that are used are brilliant.
Man, I remember. So my first ever musical I ever watched was Phantom of the Opera,
Right.
and the magic within that show was stunning. That boat sailing across the stage.
Well, it's like Harry Potter as well at the moment.
Oh,
The Palace Theatre. I mean,
yeah. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it because I've never.
I mean, the tickets are booked for like over a year, aren't they?
Because it's brilliant, and it's something that people know, and that's the thing. If you want to, don't knock it until you've tried it.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
anything, I think you've got to give it a go. Might not be your thing.
Yeah.
But at least give it a go. You'll get something from it.
There's been some really popular movies adapted recently. Things like Matilda, Mary Poppins. Most recent one I know of is Back to the Future. I can't imagine not wanting to go and see these.
Pretty Woman, whatever it's called. Pretty Lady. No idea.
Movie buff Earl Carpenter.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I think you've got to give it a go because it's about, even if it's a private thing, it's sitting in a dark space, so no one can see you react. So you've got that the safety of not being seen to be emotional.
Yes.
But it is amazing to sit, and I mean I've not seen a musical very often because I'm in them.
Yeah.
So I can't. My timing is exactly the same as you would go and see it anyway.
Yeah.
But the ones I have seen, I get lost in it.
Yeah,
I get lost in it. I don't sit there all judgy McJudgerson,
No.
and I just love what I'm watching.
Yeah. It's an interesting feeling that you don't get, I don't think, in really any other way. When you go and watch a musical, you really lose yourself and you become invested and you become emotionally attached to these
if you're
characters.
watching it at home, you've got so many distractions.
Of
You've got
course.
your phone, you've got the fridge.
And you can pause it, you can rewind, you can do what you like on the TV, but when it's a real, genuine person, the atmosphere changes. All of a sudden, you become concerned for their welfare. What if he does this? It becomes a real moment. It's like you know them, and it's a feeling like I believe you can't get from any other medium. You can't. You just can't.
But that's also, from our point of view, the challenge then, as the performer who does that job day in, day out, the duplication that we do, but the annoyance that we sometimes have with audiences is incredible. It's a real battle.
Of course.
Sometimes.
To make that cry look like you've never cried in that
or
moment before.
to not want to throw something at a member of the audience who's on their phone. Or chatting.
Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, of course we do.
God, I bet you hate
Well,
that,
you
don't
kind of
you?
think, are
You've
you
spent your money to be here.
absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
We can see you're in a dark room, the light goes on. What happens? I know. or they're chatting.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you just want to go, can we stop? Are you all right? Are you okay?
Do you need some time?
Do you want some time? Because we've got all night. But it is difficult because, and it's, you know, and again, it's, I don't know. But, I mean, that's always been there.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
think
will
so.
always been there.
Of course it will be. Listen, I think throughout your entire career, I want to ask you this question. And I'm going to start asking this to everybody because I'm genuinely fascinated by this. I asked a friend a couple of days ago. If you could go back and meet yourself, what age would you go back to and what would you tell yourself? I know it's kind of a bit of an off-topic question, but I'm interested to see what you think.
I have a dialogue at the moment with myself. It's kind of flips what you've just asked me, so maybe if I do this and then I'll answer your question.
Okay.
But I unfortunately don't value my CV. I don't value all that I've done, and I'm really struggling with that. I'm made to, somewhere along the line, I'm either made to feel that it doesn't mean anything, or I've got myself into that thing that I judge myself by what I'm doing now, if that makes sense. So what I have to do every now and then is go and talk to young Earl and go and have a little chat with him, who was doing all the Amdrams, the idea of being in Les Miserables, the idea of being the Phantom in the Phantom of the Opera, just would have been, the idea of that, I just would never believe that I would actually be able to do that. So I sometimes kind of have to go and chat with him and kind of go, this is what you end up doing. And then I have to get my that viability thing from that, of actually going, look what you've done, look what you've achieved, because I don't get that from my industry, particularly in the UK. I think us as Brits, I mean, again, what I'm about to say I think is very controversial.
Okay.
I've had the extraordinary experience of being able to perform shows around the world. There is a difference with regards to celebrating talent in America as there is to here in the UK. There is something in the Brits' mentality, and it's a shame, because there is a reluctance to celebrate someone's success here, and it stops you then from doing things. And like I said, I something to do during lockdown, I wrote down everything that I've done, and you look at it and you go, wow. But for whatever reason, it's not even worth the paper it's written on, you know, and it's such a weird mindset to have. It seems, you know, it's as much as of a struggle now being a performer in musical theatre as it was when I was 23.
Wow. And
that's what, so you kind of got to work out, well, what is still driving me? Why do I want to constantly set myself up, you know, for that kind of feeling?
Wow.
So I think, to answer your question, I would go back to the 16-year-old, 15-year-old that also struggled a lot with home life as well, to kind of go, it's okay, there's a route out of this, but you will achieve a lot, and you will experience some extraordinary things, and embrace every single moment of it. Do not take any of it for granted.
Yeah.
And I have. There have been opportunities that I have taken for granted, and quite frankly, I have treated so disrespectfully over the years. You know, and when you get to that point, and the age thing is a big thing, you know, and I would tell the 16, 15-year-old, when you get to a certain point, you will be aware that your custodianship of these extraordinary roles will end. And that happened to me 3 years ago. And I wasn't prepared for it.
Wow.
And mentally, it was the hardest thing I'd ever had to kind of think about. And then turning 50,
Yeah.
you know, you have all these things against you. But no one tells you about that.
Yeah.
We're aware of it, but actually no one sits down with you and goes, okay, so you've got 4 more years until it all ends, you know, then you have to find a different way of navigating all of this.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a struggle to hang on to why we do this, you know, because we love it. So,
I know we do.
Yeah, so I would go, you know, so to answer your question, I would go to the 15, 16-year-old who was just looking out, going, how do I achieve this? And it's a case of you will, but
Yeah.
you have to be very cautious. And you have to be aware of that actually it will end.
Yeah.
But not end in a finite way, that's it. But
No, of course.
chapters will end.
Yeah.
You know. And that's been difficult, but I think that's the age I would go to.
Yeah. It's a good age, 16.
And just tell that young man is just don't take anything for granted.
Yeah. What would you say to anybody out there then that is really interested or feels that they have a talent for this industry, whether it be acting, singing, and what advice would you give to somebody that's watching this video right now that says, you know, that looks like it's the job for me, it's something I feel like I've got inside me? What's one piece of advice you would give to them?
Don't rely on someone else giving you work.
Wow.
That would be my advice. Don't wait for your agent to call.
Yes. That's a great piece of advice.
It's as simple as that, because, you know, putting your livelihood in someone else's hand comes with a multitude of mental complications.
Yeah.
And even today, I mean, during the process of being at in the Les Mis concert, I actually auditioned, and I wasn't mentally prepared to handle the process of an audition. And I was up for 2 roles. Both ended up being a no, but it was the way that I'd forgotten about the not knowing thing, the fact there was no transparency in casting, and left to your own devices to kind of work out why you've not heard anything is so destructive, and I just wasn't ready for it, you know.
I had a great interview a couple of weeks ago with a casting agent, and we discussed this very topic. How during an audition, if you don't get the job, it can be one of the most heartbreaking moments. But within that moment, you have to realise it's not you.
No, I know, but But the problem is that we need transparency. You know, our world is going on this supporting well-being and mental health, but unfortunately, because there is a lack of transparency within the casting process, that attributes to a massive part of what we have to deal with. And it only takes a simple call to say, look, you know, what Earl did was great, but we're thinking of going down a celebrity casting route.
Yeah.
Or it's about the pairing that you will work with, and we're not, you know, but just to be left weeks on end with nothing, you know.
It's heartbreaking,
and even when you
it?
think, but hang on a minute, you know, have you seen my CV? I've been on Broadway. Surely I deserve a little bit more care. No.
Yeah.
You know, and you just think, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's me with experience. That's me with a big CV.
Yeah.
So for someone who
it's still tough.
is young, you know, it's horrific.
Yeah.
Utterly horrific.
Yeah. Talking about Broadway very quickly, I just want to say, you're Gaston.
Mm.
I'm going to put a picture up here.
Yes.
Is that padded?
No.
Is that really you?
Yeah.
Is it? Did you buff up for that?
Yeah, I did.
You look good.
Thanks.
You looked amazing.
I did. Yeah.
It was really, really great.
Yeah,
was that fun?
It was amazing, actually, that chapter with Beauty and the Beast, because I joined the original company in London, the Dominion Theatre, as standby Beast and Gaston. So I wasn't in the show. Right. I was literally in the dressing room.
Oh,
and
wow.
I understudied Gaston and the Beast. And I went on for either role.
Yeah.
At the end of our run at the Dominion, I actually took over from John Barrowman.
Oh, yeah.
As the Beast. So
Oh, wow.
And then when it went on tour,
John Barrowman is a beast.
when we went on tour, they swapped us. So Alex Bourne, who was Gaston in town, ended up playing the Beast, and I ended up playing Gaston.
Wow.
And it was great. It was an amazing, and gosh, I mean, I have to say the feeling that show gave every performer was incredible. It was an extraordinary time.
I can imagine
Very,
playing a
very
character
happy.
like that would be so much fun.
It is fun. Hard work.
Yeah.
You know.
I love your ability to take on these strange characters, because even in pantomime, your character was just the funniest. Wasn't he amazing though?
Well,
being so excited about meeting the Phantom of the Opera, and this guy is the
tapped
West End
into
superstar, and then you came on.
I tapped into John Le Monsieur from Dad's Army. I think for that one.
That was amazing.
But I love that. But again, that's the acting side of it for me.
Yes.
I much prefer to kind of get involved with the character.
Yes, of course.
And I don't mind being vulnerable on stage.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. I don't mind it.
No, I don't mind. I've always wanted to play a baddie. That'll be my next thing.
Baddies are great fun.
I bet they're great fun. To be hated, to be booed live on stage would be great fun.
It is actually.
Shut up, kids. I'd love it.
You can't say that during Les Mis, though.
No, you can't, can you? No. Earl, I love you. I really, really do. And it's been a pleasure to call you a friend, but it's amazing to have you here. And you're a huge inspiration to me as well as many other people, and you've saved me throughout many a hard time in my life, whether it be professional or personal, and for that I will forever be indebted to you.
Well, you're worth the energy and investment of time.
Debatable.
And more time.
Bless you.
More time.
Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, my hero, Mr. Earl Carpenter. I want to sit here and talk to you for hours, but these shows are very short, so I'd love it if you came back on another time and we did it again.
Love to.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's all we have time for, but please join us again next week for another amazing interview here on Check 1 2. My name's Matt Edwards. This is the amazing Earl Carpenter. I see you soon. I love you, meow.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, mate.
Welcome. Is that all right?
That's brilliant. Yeah, it was really great.